still achieve success very quickly on social media these days. One video, you can go viral like that. However, one thing has also remained the same over the last 20 years. In addition to how much has changed, the one thing that is still tried and true is, while you may be able to achieve quick success on social media, you will not be able to sustain it without an incredible work ethic. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into being an influencer, a creator, working on social media.
Yeah, but we're never supposed to let them see us sweat.
I do all the time. I think authenticity is really important, actually. And, just having that kind of really honest, transparent relationship with your audience, with your followers, it goes a long way. I think there's enough highly curated fake BS out there.
I agree.
If I am having a hard day, or my kids are driving me crazy, or whatever it might be, I'm not going to pretend that I've got it all together, because I don't. I'm just doing my best like everybody else.
So over that 20 years then, what have been the most surprising and shocking stories you've unearthed?
What I love the most about what I do is that it's always evolving. Every day is different. Obviously, sometimes you have these really big stories that dominate headlines for weeks or months, but today is very different than yesterday. Yesterday is very different than the day before. Last year at this time was very different. So that keeps it exciting and fresh for me. And, I'm also grateful because people don't come to me necessarily just for me. I don't have to worry about keeping myself interesting for my audience, which a lot of normal creators do. Like, for example, if you're a food creator, after a certain point, the algorithm may stop rewarding you if you don't change up your content or a new recipe or whatever it might be. Or for example, I'll try to say this in the most family-friendly way possible. We are now 5 years really, into the explosion of TikTok on the scene, right? And that means 5 years is a lot of time in the social media landscape. So 2020 especially was the breakthrough year for TikTok, and it made a lot of big social media stars, from Charli D'Amelio to Addison Rae to Bryce Hall and Noah Beck and all those types of people. And even more, a lot of people had a big moment on TikTok in 2020. And when you're first starting out, when you're new, things are easier. But like I said about the work ethic, the longer you keep doing something, it gets harder. And some people who are monetizing very well on TikTok and other platforms a couple of years ago, they're not monetizing so well now. So because of that, a lot of these people turn to creating spicy accounts on other platforms, OF, and it worries me because the OF model is not very sustainable either. Once somebody has paid $4.99 or whatever it is to see all the bits and pieces, even if you keep changing up your content a little bit and start collaborating with other people and start making full-on adult videos, eventually they're going to stop subscribing to you. And then it's 2 years from now. And my real worry, and I think this is true, a lot of young people especially are now like 27 years old, and they're like, dang, I peaked in my late teens. I peaked in my early 20s. And it can really lead to depression or substance abuse.
Yeah, algorithm raises us up and drops us right back down. Ron, come in, yes?
Well, it's interesting what you were saying there. Obviously, Perez, lovely to meet you. And when we're talking about ongoing success, I think the common mistake a lot of people make is they imagine themselves as the next, Kai Cenat or I Show Speed. They imagine that they're going to be the multi-millionaire. Whereas I think if people redirect that thought into a niche where they have an incredible audience that is dedicated and committed, and hey, you may make fantastic money, but you're not going to necessarily be you're not going to have a $55 million mansion. You might have a beautiful home and have a beautiful living. Do you think that people, where they get it wrong is they strive for an impossible result? Whereas if they just focused on a niche and a much smaller, tighter audience, the success could be better.
Well, I think most people aren't either interested or prepared or willing to be business owners, to be the entrepreneurs that it really takes to view your social media career as the job and being the boss and maneuvering it as such. But I totally agree with you. Niche is the new thing. The days of being mass and mainstream, when's the last time we had like a Jake Paul or a Logan Paul? Those types don't come around that much. And if they do, look at them, like even the ones that you mentioned, sure, but it's not as frequent as it used to be.
Oh, I agree. And it's not even coming from the traditional, because Jake Paul and the Logan Pauls, they were content, they were video based. That was the tradition. It's almost like they're old media now because the world is the biggest stars now.
It's so fascinating. Like the perfect anecdote or the perfect illustration that I can share with people is, if they're watching us right now on YouTube, continue watching us, or maybe on your phone or on another tab or whatever, look up, and it'll be a really fascinating experiment. It's 2024. Or maybe one of you can look it up right now and just confirm that I'm right. If you Google top 10 YouTubers of 2014, and YouTube started in 2006, I believe. So 2014 was well into the career of YouTube as a business. I think only one person that was on the top 10 in 2014 is still around and relevant. That's PewDiePie. And even he is not as relevant as he used to be, or there was that whole British wave of YouTubers, the Zoella and her husband and all of those personalities, Alfie Days and et cetera. It's all those names. None of them are relevant anymore. Not a single one.
Sure.
I think a lot of them smartly started other businesses, which is really what you need to do if you are blessed to achieve big success on social media. And things have changed so much since when I began. When I began, like I said, there was no things called social media. It was really the infancy of it. And there were no teams in place to help those kinds of creators. Now, the perfect example, earlier this year, this one girl in the United States went super viral with one silly street interview, Haktua.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if that doesn't sum up 2024, Perez, I don't know what does. Okay.
But she was scooped up by a whole management team who put all the pieces in place for her to help her monetize as much as possible and give her as much of a chance to have long-lasting success.
And she nailed it. She nailed it. I've got one more question for you, right?
Yeah.
The Mr. Beast situation, right? When did you ever listen? It is situation after situation after situation.
I don't call it that. I say it's the Mr. Beast blessing.
You reckon? All right. Give me a take. Give me your take.
The bigger you are, the bigger target you are. The bigger you are, the more they want to see you fall. And there's nobody that has more organic reach on any social media than that man. I can't think of a single other person. I would argue that he has more relevancy than even, Joe Rogan.
I would agree with that. I mean, 300 million plus subscribers on one account on YouTube says it
But,
all.
but it's not even that. It's also, you know, if I love to look at numbers, and if you look at a lot of the top YouTubers or the top TikTokers or whatever, they might have a lot of followers and a lot of subscribers, but they don't get a lot of views.
Yeah, it's
He
engagement.
still gets a lot of views.
100 million views an upload is a good take, you know. And do you think though, for example, I've been using Beyonce as an example for this. So if you've got 350 million subscribers on Instagram, right, and something horrific comes out about you, and you lose 10% of your viewership, that's 30 odd million, and you've got 30 million on one side and 300 million left on the other, and those 300 million are preaching your cause. How long before that 30 million are drowned out and people start re-believing the lie? Have we created the invincible influencer?
Oh, that's a good question. Have we created the invincible influencer? I believe this. I believe that for the most part, because Mr. Beast has been around for a fairly long time.
Yes, correct.
He has established himself and his brand and really gotten an intense loyalty from his followers.
Yeah.
The people who currently like him will continue to like him, even if he makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people realize we're not perfect. We make mistakes. And the people that don't like him, even if he tries to atone for this or correct that,
sure,
they probably still won't like him.
I'm with you. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that. Thank you very much for asking. I'll hand you back.
A great parallel is that Miranda Sings person. Do you guys know Miranda Sings?
A little bit.
Colleen Ballinger.
Oh, Colleen Ballinger.
She had a Netflix show for a bit. You know, she created that character Miranda Sings, which is kind of like a bit of a ripoff of Pee Wee Herman. And a lot of people don't like her. But it doesn't matter because she still has a very loyal following that she can monetize. Or even Shane Dawson. He was canceled a few years ago, but he's still around and still selling his followers merch, getting them to listen to his podcast, and living quite a comfortable life.
Yeah, I miss.
And look at me. I've been canceled 1,000 times.
Yeah. Cancellation is just part of the online life. If you can't deal with every mistake you've ever made being blared out into the public and you don't have thick enough skin to deal with it, it's time to go back to the kitchen. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you for answering those questions. I'm sure there's more viewer questions, Sean.
Oh, there's hundreds. We're probably not going to get through them all, but I'll start because a lot of people are asking about Diddy because it's one of the biggest things in the news. What did you think, Perez, when you saw the allegations and then did he get arrested?
So there's two very interesting points that I want to share. First, I think a lot of people probably felt this way, at least in the media. You know, you had heard rumblings of Diddy inappropriateness, but never to the scale of what the federal government alleges that he did over the last decade plus. And when we would hear certain things and certain people speak out like, oh, this former bodyguard or that former person, it just felt like either somebody that was attention seeking or a conspiracy theory because it was so far out there, like Diddy and this other guy. And it just felt like people were making these things up until we saw that video of Cassie from the hotel security camera footage, and that really changed everything, I think. And the second big point about Diddy is even if I had heard something from a close source, like somebody that I know in the real world, I like to be honest, I would not have published it. And probably neither would most of the mainstream media because Diddy's money and power intimidates and it buys silence. Even if my sister went to a Diddy party, my sister, okay, and she told me everything that she saw, and she told me that she was this, that, and the other. If I would have published that, I know because of the salacious nature of it, he would have sued me till I was broke. And the mainstream media is equally risk averse. They don't want to have to fight these, you know, really, really expensive lawsuits. And Diddy is not just wealthy, he's obscenely wealthy.
Yeah.
And that kind of money, unfortunately, protects evil people.
Yeah, and that's you from a very safe distance from Diddy, from a reporting point of view. Can you imagine if you added on the level of fear if you were within his inner circle? The money
that's what Cassie said. You know, that's why she claims she stayed with him for so long, that she was afraid. And others have also spoken to the authorities and said that he would use these secretly recorded videos to blackmail them and intimidate them. And, you know, even in her own lawsuit, which Diddy settled, like, just imagine the amount of hubris it takes to know what you've done, to be warned ahead of time that this young woman, Cassie, is going to sue you. Mm-hmm. She gave him the opportunity to settle that lawsuit privately, and he thought that he had such control over her. He thought nobody would believe her. He thought she wouldn't go through with it, and he didn't settle it. Instead, she filed, and then that was extremely damaging to him. And within 24 hours, he did settle that lawsuit. But not until the most explicit court documents were filed with everything that Cassie said happened. And we have since learned, yep, that's we've heard that. So it's wild. It's wild. And I'm upset that it's been so many months now, and there have not been other major players charged as well, because it's not just Diddy. He had an entire operation. That's one of the charges against him, racketeering. He set up this thing with the help of others. Why have not a single one of his employees been charged? They should be. Even if they've been given lesser charges or immunity or this or that, the other, they still have to serve some time. It's not like they're going to get away scot-free. It's just like, okay, instead of serving 10 years, you'll serve 5. But nobody else has been charged yet.
Yeah. They should be dragging in the goddamn cleaning crews, Perez. Everyone should be dragged in. Because I'm just saying, there ain't nobody, there's no pick up 2 bits of litter as you leave the Diddy party and put them in the bin on your way out. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's some pretty professional steam cleaning that's involved in the cleanups.
So there's a lot of big names getting thrown into the questions here, Perez. People are asking if these people are going to get dragged into the mix, the legal mix with Diddy. And the biggest names are Beyonce, JayZ, and J-Lo. What are your thoughts?
You know, I understand it. A lot of people view this as entertainment, and there's a lot of parallels to Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know where these JayZ and Beyonce rumors have originated from. You know, as of right now, they are just that, rumors. In fact, you know, Piers Morgan recently had that Jaguar right on his show, and he did a bold about face the following day, you know, after receiving a legal letter from JayZ and Beyonce. I struggle because I am not a conspiracy theorist. I am not. I am somebody that is skeptical, but I think you can be skeptical without being a conspiracy theorist. You know, I don't believe it's this thing where every celebrity was involved in some nefarious way.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I just looked up from my phone there and Sean has vanished. Oh. So a lot of people, right, we're all sort of fixating right now on, there was someone who had given an interview, apparently to do with tunnels, secret tunnels, celebrity Starbucks that, you know, why have you never seen Will Smith in LA at a Starbucks? Because, you know, there's apparently celebrity tunnels with one singular Starbucks and one staff member. And apparently this guy had like a 20-year gag order. It's a very elaborate story. Have you heard anything about this? And if you haven't, what's your view on the concept of a secret tunnel system for the elites?
That's the first I'm hearing that. I mean, there are some places like the Playboy Mansion that do have secret tunnels, but I would say it's not a prevalent thing in Los Angeles. It's not very common. But yeah, the some of the places that you would expect, like the Playboy Mansion, do have that.
How do you see the Diddy case playing out? Do you think it will get to trial? And if not, what other possible outcomes are there?
It will absolutely get to trial because there's no upside for him, meaning he might as well shoot his shot and hope for a miracle, because if he reaches some kind of plea deal with the federal prosecutors, he'll still be serving decades in prison. And Diddy is too much of a narcissist to voluntarily swallow decades behind bars. So, you know, if it's decades behind bars or the possibility that I might get acquitted, he's going to try to get acquitted.
What about the possibility of him getting Epsteined?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I believe that Diddy will, if or when convicted, he will voluntarily pull an Epstein. I would. Sorry if it's a little too morbid, but like, if I know that I'm going to be spending the next 40 years in prison without, I mean, maybe they'll give him the possibility of release, but he's 55 years old now. So would I want to end the rest of my life like that? Probably not.
Hey, Ron, come in. I've got to just handle baby Ziggy 1 second.
No problem, no problem. So, I understand when you say you're not a conspiracy theorist, and I think as well with, you know, the industries that you work in, do you feel sometimes that by being, is there ever an occasion where you feel like people who are outspoken, who go into the tinfoil hat conspiracy realm, start to be shunned within certain elements of the celebrity world, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, because it's important to not spread baseless rumors. You know, if things are verifiable, if they're, you know, like, for going back to Beyonce, like, why does everybody keep bringing her up? Who besides Jaguar Wright has made allegations against Beyonce? I'm not aware of any. And what for? What would they think? What are they thinking she did? You know, I take what I do too seriously to mess around like that.
I'm with you. I think for myself, my background, Perez, is investigative journalism, where I've infiltrated cartels and human transportation organizations, people that harass and make horrific content with children, disrupting their businesses, putting them in jail, liberating the children, all this stuff. And it's incredible how much conspiracy became conspirafact on the 7-year journey of mine. And whether it was politicians, whether it was celebrities, all this stuff, it's horrible, if I'm being honest, Perez, the reality of it all. And in my eyes, you not talking about stuff, it's kind of like if I was working in an office building and I was talking trash about some of the people that work there, it would create a very toxic work environment. And I think, I'll be honest with you, what you said sort of speaks wonders, and I can kind of read between the lines of what you're saying, because it's a different aspect for somebody like myself to sit here and speak freely, as opposed to someone as like yourself speaking freely. Even, I'm not putting words in your mouth saying you believe all of this by any chance. All I'm saying is I can understand the hastiness behind a lot of people not talking freely. And I'm not saying you're not.
No, I'll talk freely, but like, for example, I can say this without getting into any legal troubles. I've heard a lot of stories about Elon Musk and his parties. That's all.
Listen, that's all we need to know. I'll tell you what, how about then? Let's continue down this without naming any more names. Okay. Have you ever genuinely ever heard any scary stories from throughout Hollywood? And again, no names or anything like that, but have you ever heard, have there ever been any scary moments for you, or have you ever heard from your friends anything that's happened?
Oh, sure. I mean, I've had a lot of celebrities threaten me, and you know, it takes a lot of willpower and a thick skin to do what I do, and and not just from celebrities, but from average people as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yeah,
listen, if you're not getting death threats as a journalist, you ain't doing your job right. Okay, trust me. I completely understand the amount of Google images I used to have sent of my house from scary people on the dark. Listen, if you're going to tell me you're coming for me, I ain't going to take you seriously. When have you ever? When has an assassin ever pinged an email to their victim and been like, just so you know, you're in for it? Come on, people. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I understand what that's like. Okay, well let's turn the corner a little bit, right? Let's talk about some of your high points. Okay, like your favorite moments from throughout your career. Now it might not be celebrity names or anything like that, but what have been those moments where you've just been like, yes?
So many. I mean, I've done a lot of really cool things. Like I've been in a lot of music videos. I was in a Rihanna music video, which is still
hell yeah! No, forget about everything else. There's nothing's going to top. I was in a Rihanna video. Give us the 90 seconds lowdown on that, my guy.
The #1 song, S&M. She walked me around like her dog and tied me up in another scene, and it was pretty epic. I opened up Britney Spears' circus tour, her big comeback tour after a period of a lot of difficulty.
I was wrong. That destroys being in a Rihanna video. I was wrong. Okay, that is the one. That's freaking amazing, man.
But I would say the thing that I'm actually proudest of professionally was many years ago, I released a children's book called The Boy with Pink Hair, which I just love the story. I love the book. I love everything about it. And the people that have picked it up, it's really resonated with them. And I still get told that. And I smile a lot because of it.
That's awesome. I'm actually just pulling up the cover right now. Also, as well, that is my wonderful fiance Danielle. That is doing that comment there. If you could just say hi to Danielle for me, I'm sure that will make our evening. We're expecting a baby in about 4 weeks, just before Christmas. Little baby girl named Nova. So it's
hello, Danielle. Congratulations.
There we go. The book. I'm loving the artwork as well. Like, obviously, I can't see much more than the artwork. I'll bring it up here. But I'm sure that, I mean, that looks like something you would be proud of, right? I mean, it's got your name on it. It's obviously got a message that you're sending out there. And I imagine that it would be. But I'll be honest with you. I'm wanting to hear more about Britney, right? I want to hear a little bit more about Britney. I'm not going to lie. All right, I'm not going to lie. Mods as well, The Boy with the Pink Hair. If you can find that and pop a link in the side chat. Is there anywhere they can buy this that benefits you more than anywhere else?
I don't think so, because it came out a while ago. It might be out of print, but it's just still something that is very... I cherish.
Yeah, well, I can
look at you guys. You've got mods too. You're such a pro setup.
Say that one more time, Prez. I don't know if it was your end that broke up or my end, but I didn't hear the last.
I said, look at you guys. You've got mods and everything. You've got such a professional setup.
Listen. You went over previously why you got to have a professional setup. It's the workload, okay, involved in YouTube. I think that's one thing that we will expand a little bit on is. I think people's often, they feel like it's a clicking of the fingers and an instant thing that you're going to obtain. But I know people that upload regularly, they do live streams, they're doing everything, and they've got a few hundred subscribers and they get a few dozen people on their live streams, but they're dedicated to pushing out what they want to do. Do you think that the people that find true happiness in content creation but don't find financial gain are the ones that have really mastered social media? Put a 1 in the side chat if it's me that's frozen, and put a 2 if it's Perez for me. Because I don't know if it's me or Perez. Is it me that's... Oh, no, it must be Perez.